Welcome to Soul Therapy with Chelle. I am Chelle Griffin and I practice as a soul doula. I combine therapeutic knowledge and lived experience with a healthy dose of spiritual exploration. Feel welcome to join me as we learn and grow together, exploring the magic and wonderment of experiencing life on earth as a spiritual being. Hello and welcome to another episode of Soul Therapy with Chelle. And as you can see, we have a guest, beautiful Leanne Tran from Leanne Tran Psychology. Welcome, Leanne.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You didn't really have much of a choice, did you?
We always have a choice.
Leanne and I, as you can see, we're away on our annual family camping holiday with a bunch of beautiful friends. And I realised that I have an episode due, and I've been really struggling to come up with what to focus this episode on. And normally something drops in for me and it feels really clear, and I spend my week working around that. This week I've been really distracted. Obviously last week is school term and getting through all of that, and then planning and managing the family to get away on time. And so here we are, and I've hit Leanne up to be my guest.
Yep.
And thought we could talk about what inspires us and where we find inspiration.
It's a really good question because, I mean, the thing about you and I is that we can be pretty similar. And you sometimes, you know, I struggle with inspiration too at times and can't think of things to do. And so I feel like sometimes you and I both think we're the only ones who struggle with certain things.
True. Yeah. We somehow feed each other as well, in that if one sort of dip in, the other one can hold and lift. And
yep, that's right. So I hope you're not hoping for some profound advice about inspiration, but I think what resonates for me is that because I have a podcast as well, and I try to think about what's going to be useful for parents who are listening. And so sometimes that means planning out topics that I think, well, I know that will resonate because people ask a lot of questions about those things. But then you also kind of have to have the energy to feel like it's the right thing to do.
That's it, yeah.
And that's the bit I struggle with sometimes. I can have a list of topics that I know are important, but I just, in the moment or that day or that week, the energy isn't quite there for it.
Or not feeling particularly drawn to anything specifically.
Yeah. And maybe then that's passion is the word I would use for inspiration. Kind of has to, it's an alignment of the topic that's interesting, but also the energy which brings the passion to get it done.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
And how could we not, in this beautiful setting, come up with ideas for a podcast episode?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Because you were trying to think of one in the week leading up to this week. I feel like it's easier in some ways you get more time on a holiday to, I don't know, be still and just centre with yourself maybe, and ideas come. But in the week before, when it's the last week of school term as well, so in my house anyway, all the adults were tired, but the kids were really tired.
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot more to help them with their everyday things as well as plan for the holiday. It's just not, that inspiration doesn't strike in that time of busyness and stress.
And that is something that I do tend to harp on in almost every episode I do, about finding the stillness and allowing the answers, and in this case the inspiration, to flow. So I'm living proof that do what I say, not what I do.
Yeah, that's the thing psychologists share with psychotherapists, I'm guessing, is that we can give a lot of advice, but actually applying it to yourself is a different thing. Yeah. But you know, I know that because you and I talk a lot, obviously, as friends, and we both have these podcasts, and our work is both in helping parents. and yours, I guess, with people more in general, and I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, authenticity.
Yeah.
Is that, it's a struggle sometimes to actually do the work. And I know I've had people who've said to me once, clients of mine, I would just love to see how things run in your house. And it filled me with terror, thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want you to see. Yeah, that's right. But they're, we're all at different stages in our life and our journey, and in different things. I feel like I can do things like manage my kids pretty well most of the time, but there's other things that I really struggle with. And so, I think it's being open and clear is a good thing, because it lets other people know it's okay when they are struggling too. Yeah.
Well, yes, this is a podcast about showing up as who we are, and in last week's episode, everyone got to experience in real time me struggling and not finding the words, and just trying to be really organised and intentional, and just nothing was going right for me in the moment. And the theme was around control versus surrender. And I really had to surrender to, this is how I'm showing up, this is how this episode is going, and everyone has experienced that by now, and I don't need your feedback because I know how it went, how it played out.
Well, maybe you do need people's feedback to say, wow, I liked that, or I got this out of that episode.
Maybe. But, we are absolutely human. We might have expert insight and knowledge to share and lived experience to share, but at the heart of it, we're both still very human and on our own path of self-discovery and growth. And
that's right.
Yeah.
And you asked me about inspiration before, and I was saying a little bit about, I guess, that it comes down to passion and wanting to share. My desire is to share things so that it will help people. Primarily I work with children, but then a really important part of that job is working with parents as well. And so for me, that's where the passion comes from, is really sense of wanting to do some good in the world. But the other thing that just struck me as we were talking too is that I was having a conversation once with my husband, who runs a business as well, and he was saying it's actually really hard to do things, to do something. It's really easy to sit on the sidelines and judge what other people do, but it's actually really hard to do something. And so I feel like that's a little bit part of where the inspiration has to come from as well, is knowing that it's tough and it's not going to be perfect, but there's a lot of value in just that persistence. Just
showing up for yourself.
That's right.
Over and over again.
Yep. And for the people that you're trying to help and connect with. Yeah. And just knowing that, different messages reach different people at different times, and there will be some good that comes out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I was speaking with a friend a little while back around, she heard me answering a question in a recording of a course we were both doing, and she heard it sort of several weeks down the track, and she said, I was just tripping that you were helping me in the present by something you had said and done in the past. And I love those synchronicities, how they can all align, that something we've experienced in the past where here sharing with others that may inspire you or activate something in you to go, oh, actually I want to make a shift in my life to align with that, or that feels something I'm drawn to exploring more or learning more about. And
I know it's happened to me before too, that I hear things, or I hear it again, or I look into something a second time, and then it really connects and resonates with me more then for whatever reason. Different point of the journey.
So Leanne, you work, I didn't fully introduce you properly before. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You work with children who identify as neurodivergent.
Yep.
I'm always really
Unsure what to say there.
Without wanting to cause offence and really understand what's appropriate to share. So you work with children and you're working with parents. You have a new course coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about Chaos to Calm?
Sure. It's it feels like what we've gone through in the last 7 days, the chaos of, or just the name, the chaos of end of term and busy family life to then the calm of a holiday. But yeah, to your first point about neurodivergent kids, I think is it probably, some of them you might choose to say that they identify with it, sometimes been diagnosed or identified as neurodivergent, but sometimes people haven't gone through that process yet, and so they've just identified, so that is the right term.
Yeah.
And the way that it's, I guess what neurodivergent means is that there are different brain types to have, and there's the typical one, which is just really the most dominant one, and then there are types like the ADHD type and the autistic type, and so the challenges for those kids come not so much from how their brain's made up, but how that butts against the world being set up for typical people a bit more. Yeah, and so I do that kind of work in person in the clinic, but also then the program Chaos to Calm is for parents to get their head around what neurodivergence means for their kids, but also then how they need to adapt their parenting to fit their kids a bit better, because the typical parenting strategies often don't work. For all kids, but also primarily for neurodivergent kids as well.
Okay.
Yeah, an example for that would be like with ADHD, it makes kids not be able to do stuff in the moment as well
their
as
executive functioning.
Yeah, that's right. So you can expect your kid to follow your instructions as much as you want, but if they don't have the capacity for that, you'll constantly be butting heads about it. So I often say the idea from Chaos to Calm is like just choosing the path that's going to be easier for you all.
Yeah.
And in that situation, it's probably putting in place or changing your expectations for one, but then to put some things in place that will help, like some reminders and visual information and that kind of thing. So you can do things the hard way as parents, or you can try and take the fastest way to change and calm, and I think that's probably what most of us would choose if we knew how. Yeah.
I really love that idea, and I can see that it can be applied to all parenting as well.
Yes, definitely.
It's not limited, I don't think limited's the right word, exclusive to parents of children with neurodivergent.
That's right, because I guess that's where my main focus is, because I think that's what's missing. But the other thing too, you meant, like, it's a good point that all these strategies for parenting neurodivergent kids works for all other kids as well. And so and can be things like, all kids, but also anxious kids, or kids who have trouble with learning, or some kids who are just more defiant than others, or we would use the term that they want to be more autonomous than other people.
What about children that have experienced trauma?
Yes, that's the same, because trauma, I guess, trauma changes the brain in kids. I know you know this, but that means that anytime your kid's not really following that typical path is when you need to adapt the parenting. And the program's designed to teach a lot of different skills and strategies, but then what I do also is meet with people every week to then think about, well, how can we actually adapt that to your child and your family?
Wow. So you can really personalise the strategies to their specific situations.
Yeah.
So they can come to you with an example of, like, getting ready for school.
Yep.
We never get out of the door on time. We've got this checklist of task to follow and we're really getting stuck at this point, and you can give them.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
because
awesome.
it's that's the key. I think that's the secret sauce bit, is the adapting it to your own family and child, because everyone's different. And also it's about how many kids you've got in the family. So how spread thin are you? It's different if you've got one child versus 4 or 5. It's different if you shift work and you're not there for every bedtime. And
well, the kids are a range of ages, or
that's right.
Solo parenting.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
sorts.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Sign me up. I think I need this.
Well, I mean,
as much for me as for my kids.
Yeah. So that's the thing. See, I don't know if as psychologists we want to always make sure that people don't feel like they have to do something. It's their choice. But and so I would say, if people like you listeners, whoever, identify that they would like to make change, then that's when it's could be the right decision for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be more than that. And it's when you think you have time and space mentally to commit to thinking about this stuff and reflecting on it. But I'm also of the view that we can all always learn things. Yeah, so just have to think about whether it's something that's right for you at the time.
And do you get both parents showing up for the cause, participating?
Yeah, it varies a lot from family to family. But yes, sometimes both parents, sometimes one, or if if it's a single parent household. Yeah.
Could be great for co-parenting families, families that have experienced a separation. That can often be a source of trauma in a child's life. So
that's right.
Imagine what that would look like for your child, that both parents coming together, trying to align and be consistent in their parenting and their households to support that child.
Yeah, that is a good point as well, because that is, like you mentioned, the executive functioning that goes with ADHD and autism, but also anxiety as well, just becomes so much harder across split homes. But also then with kids who are across two families, it becomes harder for the families as well if the kid's having trouble with remembering things like, all their stuff. Yeah.
And just transitioning from different rules in different households. Like, I know kids in general would struggle with that, going from home to school with different rules and expectations. So having 2 different households and school would be incredibly challenging for someone so young. So what a gift for parents to be able to really step in and have that commitment that, okay, as a family, we're really going to support all of us to go through this transition and create this really safe and structured scaffolding to thrive.
Yeah. And like you said, it's about the parenting, but it's also about what the impact is for you as an adult, because, I don't help parents with their own emotional challenges. That's a thing that you do.
Send them to me.
Yeah, that's right. But it is a big part of our occupation. If you are a parent, it's a big part of your life. And so taking some time to think about, how do I do it? Is that what is in line with my values? Is that how I wanted to parent? And how does my co-parent do it? How can we work together as well to use each other's strengths to make life a bit easier?
Whether in relationship or not with each other, together. It's often that we've all had very different upbringings, and there's something about our partners that are the opposite to what we've experienced, and that's what attracts us to our partners in the first place. And that can also be the very thing that really activates us in our own personal growth. So these 2 people are flung together from different upbringings, different belief systems. They might have similar aligned core values, but they may come at them from different angles and then
Yeah.
come together, throw in babies, no sleep,
Yep.
throw in a diagnosis, and wow, like that's so incredibly challenging.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what a beautiful way to really support these families to excel together and grow together.
Yeah, yeah. Now it sounds like you're passionate, right?
I
that's
am,
yeah,
yeah.
that's where it comes from. I think the inspiration and the passion is like identifying that purpose and the the positive emotion that goes with that, with thinking about the change that you might be able to make by sharing information that I have that can make a big difference to other people if they have it too. Yeah.
I kind of, what's popped into my head as you're sharing that, this alignment with our own personal growth, that as individuals just go like finding meaning, searching for more, and this sounds like a really solid way for families to grow together. Can I segue into, because you and I have lots of chats around spirituality and personal growth, how do you want to share a bit about your experience in as a psychologist, and then personally as you grow? I know you do professional development as a psychologist. How do you support yourself on a personal level in growing?
That's a good question. I bet I do.
Have I put you on the spot here?
No, there's professional development in psychology, and a lot of that is also supervision, which we do, which is a way that we talk to somebody more experienced or just as experienced to try and unpack a little bit about the learning professionally, but also you can't help when you're working with people in a personal way, but to also bring your own personal
That's
view
human
into
nature.
it. Yeah. So in that way it crosses a little bit between the personal and the professional. But then personally for me, I think it's about, so it's often through talking with other people, supervision, but also if I do mindset sessions with people who are, really good at positive and growth mindset and that kind of thing, and that, and also my own therapy with psychologist or psychotherapist is another way to kind of get personal growth as well. It's by awareness of your own thoughts and patterns of things, but also then just learning about new ways of doing things. Yeah. So there's that. And then I try and put in place what people have taught me as well. So doing that, and that's through things like journaling and reflecting on what I've done for the day and what I want to do the next day. And when I say that, I think it's not very goal-oriented, the stuff that I do. A friend recently, I was telling her, and she was thinking, you're really goal-oriented, but it's not. It's more like tomorrow I want to walk, or I want to. It's about where I want my focus to be rather than what I want to achieve.
So do you tune into what your body needs, what your soul needs, what your heart needs, and then align with that and create intentions around that?
I want to say both yes and I don't know at the same time. Yes, I think so, but I don't feel very particularly aware about what I'm tuning into, but it's definitely a sense of tuning into myself. And so often thinking if I feel really out of kilter or off kilter or whatever, we'll think, just go and start writing things down, and then as I do it through the journaling, it seems to clarify a lot of things. But another part is sitting still and doing some mindfulness and centering, because I think that helps the real thoughts and feelings come through.
They can get quite destructive at times, especially when our stressors have been really activated, like preparing to go on holiday and navigating final exams in end of term and sporting commitments and whatnot, trying to get things done by a certain time so you can have a break. So those weeks leading up to that holiday can be actually more stressful.
Yep.
And you show up on the holiday and you're all burnt out.
Exactly.
Barely get to slow down and recuperate, and it's time to get back in again.
Yep.
So how are you going to support yourself for the next week, Leanne, in nourishing your soul and body and heart and mind?
It's so interesting that you asked that question, because it is something I prepared for this time for the holiday. Not the question itself, but I came away with the intention of knowing that this is a quieter time, and so intended to walk every morning, because that's what I feel like, looks after my body, but also my mind and spirit. Being in nature is something really important to me. And I've brought some books along that is probably what's aligned to the spirit, things to read for fun, but also things to read academically for things I want to learn more about. And I really enjoy that process. So I've got those things, as well as then some quality time with family and friends, because that's another thing that just brings me joy. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's going to be a good week.
It is. It's going to be a great week. Look at the weather. It's amazing. We're so
it's only
blessed.
the beginning.
I know. We've had so much rain over the last few weeks, so it's such a treat to come to one of our favourite little havens.
Yeah.
And enjoy the last of summer, basically.
Yeah.
Good times, good friends.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. I'm feeling much more inspired now.
See, and that's not from me. I think it's just from the conversation.
Absolutely.
It's from the connection.
That is a big thing for me, that I do find my energy lifts when I'm around others. And I know you really like to have that space and stillness to be able to rejuvenate your energy. We're all really different in how we meet the world. And no one's right, no one's wrong. It's just what is. As long as we keep showing up for ourselves authentically and honestly, then we'll be able to show up for everyone else around us too.
Yes.
So thank you so much to Leanne.
You're welcome.
You can find details about Chaos to Calm. That's launching on the 13th of April?
15th.
Okay.
But now you should be able to sign up for the wait list if parents want to do that.
Magic.
Which will open up on the 13th of August.
And how do we find you?
April. Website is probably the best thing, which is learn.leannetran.com.au.
Awesome.
Otherwise, Instagram, I'm there at Leanne Tran Psychology as well.
Great. Well, thank you for showing up for me today.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for showing up for all the beautiful parents that you support. They're so blessed.
Yeah, it's great. I really enjoy it, and I think I benefit from spending time with them as well.
I can see that. Just your eyes are sparkling.
Yeah.
Thanks, darling.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing up for yourself by listening to Soul Therapy with Chelle. Feel welcome to subscribe to my podcast, share the pod with your friends, family, colleagues and neighbours. And please, if you are willing, I would absolutely love a 5-star review to give my little pod a boost in the algorithms. For further detail on how to work with me, please visit my website www.chellegriffin.com or find me on the socials. I hope you'll join me on my next episode. Till then, go gently and intentionally. With care, Chelle.